I see I didn't make enough sales on the kawaii glaives. Like they do best, they had to buff it to make more money. Good morning. It's been a month since I did a guide, so I think it's about time to make another one. Like I said, the glaive just got an insane buff, so I thought this would be the most interesting thing to make a video about. This guide will include glaive skills and specialties, special schematic affixes, armor sets, weapons and attribute builds, how to play glaive, and my conclusion. Let's get into it with the skills. Glaive has 6 normal skills, 2 ults and some horse stuff. Arc of Steel. Activating this skill makes you swing your glaive around 3 times, hitting everything around you, even behind you. This deals quite a lot of damage for being a big area attack. You will also see that it refreshes the duration of Dragon's Ode effect, but I'll get into that later. Arc of Steel's cooldown is 7 seconds. Breaker of Shields. Activating this skill cleanses dazed and knockdown states, and makes you hit the back of your glaive against a target in front of you. This deals high blunt damage, knockback to non-blocking enemies, and pierced state on blocking enemies. Pressing it a second time after the first attack makes you swing another time, dealing okay-ish damage. It's less than 1 swing of Arc of Steel anyways. This skill's cooldown is 10 seconds. Charge. This skill is slightly different. Activating it makes you charge with a 20% defense bonus until you use the skill again or after 2.5 seconds. If you press it again before it runs out, you will do a slash upwards, knocking down enemies hit or dismounting mounted heroes. After this attack you can use the skill again, and it will do 2 fast slashes, dealing pretty good damage for the speed. Charge's cooldown is 15 seconds. Warlord's Greeting. This is probably their most useful normal skill. Using this skill makes you slam the glaive into the ground 2 times, with each hit dealing pretty good damage and concussing the enemy for almost 2 seconds. Warlord's Greeting's cooldown is 12 seconds. God of Battles. Activating this skill cleanses concussion state and gives you 20% slashing and blunt armor penetration for 10 seconds. It also gives you and every allied hero and unit around you 22% extra damage for 10 seconds. This skill's cooldown is 24 seconds. Heat of Battle. Activating this skill cleanses dazed, knockdown and concussion state of your hero, and knocks back enemy units and heroes in a short radius around you. For 30 seconds after activation you take 18% less damage, and for the first 3 seconds of this you take an extra 36% less damage, so 54% total for the first 3 seconds. Heat of Battle's cooldown is 18 seconds. Hail of Blades. This is the long ult of Glaive. On activation, it removes dazed and knockdown state and makes you start slashing 6 times in front of you, dealing not bad damage, inflicting knockback on enemy heroes and units, and dismounting mounted heroes. This ult's cooldown is 45 seconds. Flying Reaper. This ult got buffed to the absolute max. On activation it cleanses dazed and knockdown state and deals around 750% base, plus 4.5k blunt damage, sending enemies flying and dismounting mounted heroes. Enemies that are hit with Flying Reaper take 20% more damage for 4 seconds. Flying Reaper's cooldown is 40 seconds. Now, for the Dragon's Ode effect. When you activate any of the ults, you gain the Dragon's Ode effect for 6 seconds. This effect gives you twice your crit value and even higher for auto attacks and sprint attacks. This basically means that you have a very high chance of doing a critical hit, which deals 50% damage on top of your usual damage dealt. Dragon's Ode also gives you 60% extra defenses while it's active, so yeah, you just do 50% more damage and be hella tanky. I don't know who thought of this, but it's, yeah. Also, using any normal skill while Dragon's Ode is active resets the effect 6-second duration. This is what you saw in all of the normal skill descriptions. And then you also have your horse helicopter skill. With the normal glaive you also have 900 block, but with the special schematic glaive you have different attacks instead of blocking. These attacks feel very slow though, I really don't like them myself. Speaking about the special glaive, when crafting and reforging the special schematic glaive, there's a chance of you unlocking a few special attributes being Bloodthirst Strike, World Devourer, Sweeping Cleave, Unstoppable Force, Endless Valor and Conqueror's Resolve. Max Bloodthirst heals you 24% of your max health over 3 seconds and increases your movement speed by 16% for 6 seconds after killing a hero. Max World Devourer increases damage for the first attack while in God of Battles and attacks after that within 3 seconds of the first hit by 22%. Max Sweeping Cleave decreases Hail of Blades cooldown by 0.32 seconds with each hit. Max Unstoppable Force gives you immunity to dazed state when auto-attacking. It also gives full CC immunity on the final swing of the right-click attacks, and it increases damage from normal and sprint attacks by 15%. Max Endless Valor resets the duration of the Heat of Battle's 18% less damage taken with every hit you take, up to an extra 10 seconds. Max Conqueror's Resolve gives Flying Reaper the ability to reduce hit enemies damage dealt by 25% and movement speed by 30% for 4 seconds. The most ridiculous ones to me are the World Devourer, Endless Valor and maybe Unstoppable Force. World Devourer just gives you an insane damage spike, so your Flying Reaper, with this season's rune, buffing ults damage by 10%, damage dealt to units or heroes by 6%, crit hits 50%, and the already added 22% damage of God of Battles. That is an insane damage buff that people that don't spend money on this game will most likely never have, and overall it's just insane damage. Imagine, 750% plus 4.5k damage, on the average glaive is around 10.5k damage. With this World Devourer, so double 22%, it's 15k. With runes 16%, this is 17k, 17.5k even. With the added crit now from Dragon's Ode, it's 26k before armor calculation. That's just straight up bullshit. Max Atlas Valor gives you permanent 18% less damage taken, as when you get hit in the final 6 seconds of the Heat of Battle's duration, you can have up to 23 seconds of effect. And with the cooldown being only 18 seconds, that just makes no sense. And Unstoppable Force is just slightly unfair, as it gives you 15% more damage on the sprint attacks, and sprint attack is used quite a lot when playing Glaive. So, now we're past that rant, we've come to the armor sets, weapons, and attribute builds. I'll start with the ones I recommend or the important ones, and then I go over to the niche ones. Starter heavy build. Guardsman set with blue, refined, epic or special epic glaive on full armor or half strength. You should only use this one if there's no other sets available or you're new to glaive. Flame Shackle build. Flame Shackle refined set with a refined schematic glaive on strength or armor or hybrid, your preference. Flame Shackle is really good as every skill with a control tag breaks enemy block and sets units on fire for 2 seconds, dealing some good fire damage, especially to units vulnerable to it. Full tank build. Stoneguard set with refined schematic glaive on full health, or epic schematic set with the epic or special epic schematic glaive on full armor. Just a quick note, apart from the higher base stats, I don't think Glaive's epic set is that worth it, so only use it if you really want to have the extra armor stats, and take its set bonuses as little extras. You could also go full epic set and strength, but I just don't like the idea. You're already tanky enough on Flame Shackle with the recent buffs. Onto the more niche ones. Sprint attack damage build. Windrider refined set with a refined schematic glaive on full strength. Windrider makes you able to move really fast and do infinite amount of sprint attacks, as every sprint attack hit you deal refunds you the full amount of stamina. So if one sprint attack lands 2 targets, you get your stamina refunded for 2 sprint attacks. You will also deal 30% more damage with sprint attacks and get a 25% speed boost after every one of those sprint attacks. Glass Cannon build. Sunbreaker or epic schematic glaive with half Carnifex and half Rogue set on full strength. With this you will be missing out on a lot of survivability, but you will get 150 more damage and 250 more armor penetration on everything. Full medium build. For a niche one, this one is really strong, but I don't immediately recommend it to everyone because it's a pretty hard one to play. Sunbreaker or epic schematic glaive with full Carnifex and full strength. You will have a bit more survivability than a glass cannon, but a little bit less armor penetration. Now on how to play. For skill sets, I recommend Warlord's Greeting, Arc of Steel, God of Battles or Heat of Battles, and Flying Reaper for every set, except maybe Flame Shackle and Glass Cannon. For these you could replace Arc of Steel with Charge. I don't specifically recommend it, but Charge has a good escape for Glass Cannon, and it counts as a control skill for Flame Shackle. I have sadly lost most of the footage I recorded as I just switched to my new PC, but I will show you basically what to do in the unit training areas. As you could see earlier, it is possible to make your crit and damage resistance effect permanent, if you time your skills correctly. Don't immediately start spamming your skills unless you really need to use them, or if you see a good damage opportunity. Use your hero as the buffing hero, and then as the engagement when you see a good opportunity. Against this isn't really realistic of course, but it's basically what happens in the normal games too. This would also work from the front with Flame Shackle against shields when using Warlord's Greeting, but otherwise just trying to go in the enemy's back or side. Staying on your horse is also a really good idea, as your horse ability and right click are very strong. If you can jump around some units' backs, you can easily engage with your units to finish it. This is the right click on the horse. It takes a lot of stamina, but it does a lot of damage. As a conclusion, I think Glaive is on a low S tier or high A tier. People that were already good at Glaive are already doing insane stuff with it. I've had games myself with almost 2 million damage with the Flame Shackle set, and a friend of mine just sent me a screenshot of 2.2 million yesterday. I also hate that the new Glaive schematic has such high power in it, especially as most people will never even have any of this. I assume that they won't nerf this stuff either, as they just buffed it to make some money on the Divine Reforge, and of course the new schematic, but let's hope it gets toned down just a little, because the damage numbers on such a short ult are just stupid. Anyway, if you've got any more questions, don't mind asking, I'm always happy to answer. Anyway, bye.